Okay, guys, alternate ending. Take 43.
With so many movies on the net and TV, it's kind of hard being up and film savvy. Do you catch a show while you're on the go? And how do you know what to keep or what to throw? How do you know what to keep or what to throw? Tune in, tune in, tune in to alternate ending. Tune in, tune in, tune in to alternate ending. Now! Please give a warm welcome to the hosts of Alternate Ending.
Welcome to Alternate Ending. We're discovering good movies, one bad movie at a time. I'm film school dropout Robert Jarsinski. Across from me is our casual moviegoer Carrie Jarsinski and our very own critic in residence Tim Brayton. As selected by a friend of the show and Patreon subscriber Caleb Wimble, we're doing an entire episode dedicated to spoiling Dark City. But first, Carrie, your number one anticipated movie just dropped last week.
The 2nd of June, I think.
June 2nd. So just this past weekend. Just this weekend. And I'm feeling like it's going to be good.
I am too.
Yeah.
I am too.
Although it appears in the news that there have been some disparaging comments. It looks like some women haters out there.
I don't know who would ever hate women.
I don't know either, but
apparently
this gentleman wrote in a nasty letter to the mayor of Austin because he was upset that the Alamo Draft House was restricting women from
I did read that.
Women only screenings.
Women only promotional screening.
Yeah.
To which I can only say that people have too much goddamn time.
Yeah.
And I picture this person. I read the article. It was very hostile to just about everybody and everything, mostly women in the state of Texas and the, theater, just anybody. But who is this person?
This person is a crybaby.
A crybaby.
Who has a very weird relationship to the character of Wonder Woman, obviously, if he's that intensely eager to see it.
Yeah.
But also finds the themes of powerful women to be that upsetting. And I feel like he might be disappointed in what Wonder Woman is.
Yeah.
To play devil's advocate for just a moment.
Sure.
If I did a male only screening, would people be upset?
Well, I have also
testosterone.
I have also seen Jupiter Ascending in a theater. So
that's what I was actually going to say. Is aren't most like sci-fi action?
I mean, that's the thing. It's a comic book movie. I have been to all male screenings that were not advertised as such.
Right. I'm just, you know what though? I go back to this guy. He's sitting in his undies.
Yeah.
He's in his house with a Coors Light, sitting with his undies. Nothing against Coors Light, but I mean, maybe it was like a high life.
He's drinking Mountain Dew. Let's be
Mountain Dew in his undies.
He is not old enough to buy Coors Light. That is who this person is.
He's sitting on his desktop, typing this note. Maybe he mailed it in. Probably didn't even put a stamp on it. He's that guy. He doesn't put a stamp.
So if the female only screening has a seat open, and I'm trying to go see Wonder Woman in the gender neutral screening, will they let me have the ticket?
Well, I'm almost 100% sure the ticket's sold out, so I don't know.
Yeah.
But in this scenario, because it is would they restrict me from being able to take that seat?
I hope so.
Yeah, just to preserve
they are a business. They are in their job is to make money, and if
they let me in, would there be hate from the women, you think, by having me be there in the theater?
That's a really, really interesting question. I'm trying to think how I would feel.
I feel like there'd be Snickers, there'd be chatter.
There'd M&Ms too, probably. Gobstoppers.
And Junior Mints.
Junior Mints being thrown at me, hopefully in my mouth.
Because there were Snickers.
Well, I'm excited to see it. Are you going to see it in theaters, Carrie? It is your number one anticipated movie.
I'm super excited. So everything that I've read looks
it's your
good.
number one and you haven't even seen it
I know. It's been a hell of a week. But I will get out there before the next episode and see it. I'm going to see it, whether I leave in the middle of the night and leave Rob with the kids. I'll watch it alone for my own female-only screening.
Whatever it takes. Well, let's talk about movies we actually have seen in our Worth Mentioning segment. What is the Worth Mentioning segment of the movies we've seen since the last episode? Which are the ones we want to talk about most? They could be great movies. They could be terrible. Tim, how many movies have you seen? It's been 2 weeks since the last episode.
It's been 2 weeks since I was here, so I've seen quite a few. Most of them have shown up on the site, which hopefully you've noticed. The pace of reviews has picked up considerably now that I'm out of grad school for the summer. But my Worth Mentioning isn't going to be any of those because I've said what I have to say about most of them. Instead, I want to not necessarily call attention to it because I don't think it needs attention really. But I saw just a couple days ago a horror film called 31, which is the newest film by director Rob Zombie, who I have... it's weird. I only like 2 of his movies, and I find the other, whatever that would be, 4 at this point, to be kind of crappy. But the 2 are so good. And the 2 in question are The Devil's Rejects and The Lords of Salem, and I love them both so much. So I'm excited for anything new he makes, even though I know that the odds are against it being really terribly good, and 31 is not really terribly good. It's a movie about a group of carnies in, I think, 1976, sometime in the second half of the 1970s, who get abducted by this weird cult of like rich people who dress as French aristocrats from the Louis XIV era, and are then hunted by psychopathic clowns.
Wait, so the rich people turn into clowns.
The rich people abduct them, but then bet on the outcome of the clowns hunting the carnies.
Sure, but are they?
They are not.
Clowns?
They are just spectating.
So they hire.
They hire psychopathic clowns.
Got it. Now it's clear. Yeah.
And it is. I promise it's not. So it's kind of repetitive. It's gore without really any sort of context or hook that it hangs on. Some of the imagery is really strong. A lot of it just feels like I'm watching the same thing over and over again. The good stuff's really good, and the opening scene is like the best thing Rob Zombie has ever done. So I enjoyed it. I don't regret the time spent, but it fascinated me in its sort of run-of-the-millness. And there was a rumor going around that Zombie was going to try to make a non-horror film, and I think I want him to, because I think he clearly has gotten bored with making horror. So,
well, it sounds like he almost went Jean-Claude Van Damme Hard Target, except with clowns. Is which the premise of the
tragically not seen Jean-Claude Van Damme Hard Target.
Yeah, same type of premise of like betting on human killing and on mostly on homeless people.
Is that all Rob Zombie's done? And was he also a musician?
Yes. He is the lead. The front man for White Zombie.
Thank you. I didn't want to embarrass myself there, so I'm glad that was right.
He definitely has a style. The movies that I've seen of his certainly all have a similar vibe.
His filmmaking technique is, those movies in the 70s, I liked those a lot. I'm going to make those. And that's cool. And he's doing something nobody else is doing, so I still think it's worth... The project of Rob Zombie appeals to me. 31...
I don't know if you could stomach it, Care. Any of the Rob
I definitely
movies.
Could.
Okay, we're going to put that to the
movies.
test.
Yeah.
Not the same thing.
Different
thing.
I know we talked about this before with Nacho in a previous episode. Is Zombie really his name?
It is tragically a nom du film. I forget his birth name.
But he has a different name. I figured.
He was not born into this world, Robert Zombie. To Mr. and Mrs. Zombie. Sadly.
Mr. and Mrs. Zombie. No, I thought maybe it was like French or something. We've all like Americanified it. It was like Zombie. It's not.
Nope.
Just Zombie. Okay.
How many movies did you cram in this last episode? 3?
3. I saw, I'll use the Tim accent. Rock Dog. I saw Rock Dog.
Nice.
It was terrible.
It's so terrible.
It was really bad. And then I also saw another one, and then I saw our Patreon movie. Can I talk about
absolutely.
that one?
We're doing all Caleb Wimble all episodes. So yeah, absolutely. This was one that he picked out for us to watch.
So what I'm going to do before I lead into this is we watched the movie Paprika. I don't know if Tim's seen it, but have you?
I have. You borrowed my Blu-ray.
Oh, that was yours?
Yeah.
Oh,
which it doesn't necessarily mean anything because I own movies that I haven't seen. I have seen Paprika multiple times. And
excellent.
I love it.
You loved what?
The movie.
Let me start by saying I was pretty excited because it's an anime film, and I appreciated that Caleb was going to. He must listen to the show enough to know that where our blind spots are.
Sure.
And I really wanted to open myself up and that's what I hope the shows are doing and the website's doing is opening up movies to maybe taking some chances. And I wanted to take some chances on an anime movie. And then Tim dropped on me when he's like, "You're gonna like it. It's like Inception."
He said, "You're gonna like it."
You're gonna like it. It's like Inception.
I don't know if I said you're gonna like it.
Oh, no,
he said it's like Inception.
And then another audience member actually said it's like Inception on steroids. And I love Inception.
No, on acid.
On acid. Inception on acid.
Definitely drugs is a better example.
And so we put it in and we watched it.
We did watch it. It was directed by butcher me on these names. Okay, so it's
Kon Satoshi.
Yeah. Oh, Shoot.
First
Is
name,
Satoshi's
first name, last name first.
So Japanese, the name order is reversed.
Okay,
so
yeah, I knew that.
His,
Yep.
his familiar name is Satoshi, and his family name is Kon.
So the next guy or gal's family name is Tsututai Yatusaka. Yes.
We're gonna skip the rest of the names.
We're gonna pass through the credits.
There are a lot of people in this movie, but since it's anime, same thing, right? Animated.
Anime.
Japanese animation.
I tend to not use the phrase anime just because I think it's kind of ghettoizing, but yeah, it's basically any animation made in Japan.
Yeah, so speaking of ghetto, let me talk about this movie. I don't even know what happened. So
Right?
really
It's so great.
In case my kids ever listen back to these episodes, I don't want to swear too much, but this is I need to come up with a code
Fucking do
word
it.
for the F-bomb. This is a WTF movie for me. I felt like I really overdid it on alcohol and took sleeping pills at the same time. I don't know what happened. I don't know it at all. So let me try and
right.
talk about what happened in this movie. So there's these cartoon scientists, and they
Well, they're real
invented-
scientists.
Yes.
In the world of Paprika, they exist.
So they exist in this world of Paprika, who's not real.
Paprika is not real. You got that.
Oh, thank God. Okay, so she's not real. She's a figment of everybody's imagination, but she's
Not a figment of everybody's imagination.
No,
I've seen her referred to as a sprite, which I also don't think is accurate.
She is an avatar. Not in the religious sense, in
Right.
the video game avatar sense.
Is she an avatar of that other lady?
Yes.
Yes.
Got it.
That's what I gathered.
Okay, so the other lady works for the place,
Right.
Okay, and they have invented a thing
They have.
called the DC Mini,
Nice.
which is a thing that attaches to your brain and sucks your dreams. Right?
Yes.
Okay, and I'll
So
keep
far, so
going.
good.
So far, so good. So then this dream sucker gets stolen.
Correct.
Okay. And then you don't know who did it, but then it starts, here's the inception part. It starts the story starts layering and layering on each other, sort of. And the guy who's the police officer, right, ends up in the same story over and over again. And you're supposed to, I think, start piecing together who took the Dreamcatcher thing and who did it. It becomes a who did it story.
It's a mystery, totally.
But then they weaves in weird talking dolls that will forever haunt my dreams.
And that's part of it, is that the machine has taken on a life of its own a little bit, and the more you use the machine, the more it kind of actually begins affecting your waking state.
Right.
And that's kind of the issue as well too. Is it was a machine that was invented to help with psychotherapy.
Sure.
And it's being abused, or if you use it, you get addicted to it, and it kind of starts infiltrating and makes you see things in the waking state that creates chaos.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's the mystery of who done it and why did they do it, and
Who did it? I still don't even know. Was it that giant doll, the lady doll, or
Well, the giant lady doll is one of the projections of the thief.
oh,
I
is
feel
the thief
can
the
we
cop?
spoil this? I don't know. Are we able to spoil?
No
this?
one's ever seeing this, right?
Oh no, it's so good. We can't spoil it.
Okay, don't say who did it. Tell me after.
I just, unfortunately, this isn't one where it got me over the hump of I need to see more anime. I feel
You had
bad
seen
about
Totoro.
it.
Hello, my name is Totoro.
That's the only other anime film or Japanese animation film that I have seen.
I'm gonna have to sit you guys down.
I'm not in on it. And
What's the appeal?
The appeal is okay.
yeah, what am I missing?
A soul? I don't know. So Paprika is about, it's sci-fi. So I mean we have to buy in that part of it is just straight up sci-fi. It's about people's subconscious coming brimming over, basically. So what these people are, the visions that happen and the craziness that happens is all manifestations of these characters' inner turmoil that they have crammed down, and that's what Paprika is. Paprika is the main woman's when she enters a patient's dream, she takes on the persona of Paprika to be their therapist, basically. So it's all about things that you keep buried and things that you keep down, and then what happens when those things get loosened somehow. And in order to explore that in a very metaphorical way, the film uses animation to like just go nuts and like be okay. We're going to turn the world inside out, and we're going to break the world completely and do all these things that are totally non-realistic, because that's how we're going to explore this question of what happens if you lose control of the things that you keep buried down in your subconscious. And I mean, I'm obviously in the bag for animation to start with, so I mean that probably helps. But I like the degree to which it just goes for it and is like,
it went for it.
It goes for it so much, and it just depicts things that can't be.
Yeah,
and I think that's the most important calling of it.
Well, if you're going to, this is obviously the format and the form that you would want at your disposal to be able to do things like that. Is there another anime movie that carry like a starter anime?
Yeah, I will say that it's a deep end. It's like it's throwing you into the deep end for sure. I mean, Totoro is a great first anime film.
We saw Totoro with the bass,
also,
with the dad.
same director as that movie is a film Spirited Away from 2001, which I think is possibly the all-time best introduction to anime ever, but I don't know. I don't want to show it to you guys and then find out you don't like it.
I will lie. Maybe this one, I can't lie. It wasn't necessarily for me. It was so over the top.
And still seeing a lot of sexuality displayed and graphic things more in an animated
like unzipping
form.
Bodies and
It's hard. It's hard for a first timer seeing an animated film do something like that. So I don't like. It hasn't quite.
I thought you roofied me. Maybe I was like, I
registered
feel
for me
kind of like out of here, out of mind, out of body while I was watching it or something. It was
like
weird.
R-rated animation's a thing, and it's a very appropriate and good thing to have out in the world. I would say.
Yeah.
And I will show you guys Spirited Away, and then I will show you some hentai.
All right.
Which is Japanese animated porn.
All right. Let's go for some hentai after this.
Next up, you're reaching.
I am talking about the 2015's The Dressmaker, which is the film Carrie and I actually both caught. Amazon has been pushing it down our throat. If you have Amazon, it's probably been doing the same for you. So we took a chance on The Dressmaker. Hour 59 minutes. IMDb gives it a 7.1. Rotten Tomatoes 54%. Directed by Jocelyn Morehouse, who did Proof and How to Make an American Quilt. Written by Rosalie Ham. I believe it's a novel that she wrote. Starring Kate Winslet, Judy Davis. This is going to detract for you, Tim. Liam Hemsworth, Hugo Weaving, and Sarah Snook.
Wait, what's distracting there? Or detracting?
The lesser of the two Hemsworth brothers.
Tim has mentioned
a fairly considerable margin.
Tim has mentioned that Liam detracts from movies for him.
Gale?
He tends to be associated with movies that are not good.
You mean...
I mean 3 of the 4 Hunger Games, yes.
But he's the best looking, I think, maybe.
Really?
I don't know.
I would totally...
Maybe
I
agree.
would absolutely hook up with Chris before I'd hook up with him.
Definitely daintier, and that's not my thing, but... I mean, he's still he has a really nice face. Yeah. And Rob, he had a shirtless scene. Rob's like, oh, you know what? I feel like if I were to go to the gym,
I could do it.
I could totally have that look.
Yeah.
He said that 8 years ago.
Chris is too broad-jawed for me. I wouldn't know what to do with all that, man. I wouldn't know. Talking about The Dressmaker, it's about a glamorous woman returns to her small town in rural Australia. By the way, Kate Winslet nailing a good. Did you not like her Australian accent? I felt like it caught you off guard.
I hope you did, because she's a native of Australia.
Kate Winslet is?
Kate Winslet's Australian.
I thought she was English.
She is not. She is Australian.
Get out.
Yep.
I'm blown away.
I thought she was doing a British accent.
I thought it was a British movie. I didn't realize it was actually set in Australia.
No, it's set in Australia. So she shows back into this town that's made up of maybe 10 families, a very rural tumbleweed. I don't know if they have tumbleweeds, but the equivalent
They probably call them like Dugawangers.
Dugawangers. Actually, the town is called, you must know a lot about Australia. It's like Dungary Town. I don't know what it is. It's something like that. Dung means shit,
poo.
Obviously.
Yeah.
So it's like Shitty Town, Australia.
Shitty Town, Australia. She shows back
Clever.
up and she's wearing, this takes place in 50s Australia. And then again, very, very rural. And she shows back up in a Prada dress and she says, I'm going to get those.
No, it was a self-designed. It was
self-designed, but a spin-off of.
Yeah.
Dior or something like that.
Sure.
And she's like, I'm going to get those bastards back. That's the opening sequence. She shows up in the middle of the night, dressed to kill, and it's described by the director as Unforgiven with a sewing machine.
All right.
And it has a lot of beauty. The production design is amazing. I was wondering, did they just build this city in Australia? And in fact, I went back and looked. They did. They built up a set in Western Australia, and it's just really beautiful set design, really nice shots. The plot is a little bit I've been thinking a lot about this. It's like Heathers. It's like Heathers in Western Australia, and I couldn't figure out the tone. It was really it was odd for me, which, like Heathers, it's a little bit... Well, I don't know what you thought, Kara. What did you think about...
I didn't like this movie.
You didn't like this movie?
No.
What was the problem for you, like, following it?
I didn't like somebody that died.
Okay.
That was sad. Mm-hmm. Especially when you're that good looking.
Oh.
No, I'm just joking. No one's ever going to see this movie.
I might. Everything that Rob said was getting me
It could
very
be Kate Winslet. It could be anybody.
Could be Hugo Weaving.
You find out later in the movie...
You told everyone
but
now.
For some reason, Kate Winslet was taken away from this town or left this town years ago when she was a child, and returns years later as, she's a successful French designer, like designing clothes, and she comes back to her town, checking on her mother, who she hasn't seen in like 40 years.
Mom doesn't know her. She's like an alcoholic. She doesn't get out of bed.
Yes, and mom is not taking care of herself and may not even recognize her own daughter, that sort of thing. Single mother, grew up a single mother, and the town was terrible to her. So she's come back for a little bit of vindication to the town.
Like, I've succeeded. I'm so pretty. Yeah.
Yeah, and to spruce it up a bit too, like, and it's like, bring the design, and so she starts dressing up all the ladies of the town in all of these gowns and things like that, which
it was weird
against the backdrop of this dusty western town and all of these gowns and these women were walking around. It was nice juxtaposition. The story didn't necessarily captivate me.
It was a weird tone to it.
And it is a Heather's tone.
So Australian movies set in little towns with weird tones are kind of like a genre of their own, and it's a genre I kind of love. So you're telling me Australian desert, incongruous gowns, and all I want to know, how much like The Adventures of Priscilla are we talking?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh my God. It is a drag comedy adventure road movie.
Well, then
tragedy.
very similar.
With Hugo Weaving in drag. Alongside Terrence Stamp and Guy Pearce.
Well, then this is...
And it is a great movie.
This is Hugo reprising.
I might, in fact, have to donate money to our Patreon to make you guys watch Adventures of Priscilla.
Okay.
Well, you can do that.
Well, very nice. You can do that.
Go direct to our website.
I don't... This is not spoiler, but Hugo does like his couture in this movie as well. So now that I know the history...
sold me. I think I am on board with watching this movie.
You need to give it a shot. The direction-wise, you can tell it's a very talented eye. The director has a great eye, great production design. The acting is fine, is all good too. I think the story for us was just too odd to really buy into.
Yeah, agreed.
But
So next week we're on your Japanese porn and you're on Dressmaker.
Perfect.
Okay.
Well, remember, you can find more details about all the movies we've watched at our website, alternateending.com. That's alternateending.com. Before we head to our break, you might be wondering about ways to support the show. Direct from our website, you can head over to our Patreon page, just like Caleb Wimble did. Provides you access to a ton of perks. You may want to make us watch a movie, have Tim write a review, pick your own episode topic. You can do it all from our Patreon page. Also, want to thank all of our listeners who support the show and make their Amazon purchases through our site. Doing it is easy. Just go to our website, alternateending.com. Click on the Amazon banner and seamlessly go about your purchases. All proceeds go to making our show better. Since our last episode, not a whole lot, but people are busy with the summertime and busy, trying to run around, get some exercise in. So we had to purchase someone buy Hanes Sportswoman Compression Racerback Sports Bra.
Need those.
Yeah, you gotta keep things in check.
That's right. You don't want to hurt your back.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for that purchase.
Just the bras.
Just the bras. That's
nice. Just the bras.
No matching underwear or anything like that.
You don't need control underwear.
Yeah, I mean sports.
I do.
Panties are
my
totally
balls
different.
are ginormous. I need a compression underwear.
You're gonna have to omit that line. That was
cut that
weird.
out.
Yeah,
all right, we'll be cutting that out later. Well, thanks guys for all your purchases. When we get back, our spoiler alert of Dark City. And welcome back to Alternating. We're talking about our spoiler episode with Dark City. Made in 1998, hour 40 minutes. IMDb gives it a 7.7. Rotten Tomatoes, 74%. Directed by Alex Proyas of The Crow, iRobot, Knowing, Gods of Egypt fame. Written originally by Alex Proyas, and then David Goyer came in there, did some work. Lem Dobbs. Synopsis: a man struggles with memories of his past, including a wife he cannot remember, in a nightmarish world. This was the first time you saw this movie. What did you think about it?
It was not the first time I've seen this movie.
You'd seen this before.
It was the second time I've seen it.
Did it occur to
Goes to show the foundation your marriage is built on.
I think I saw it at it goes to go the foundation of our friendship, Tim. I think I saw it at your house.
Really?
I don't
Yeah.
know.
I don't remember that
don't think
happening.
so.
Not at your house. No. I think I saw it at Farwig's house in his basement for Bad Movie Night.
No,
But it's a good movie.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been in Bad Movie Night.
I think I saw it for Good Movie Night in Farwig's basement.
Probably not good enough to be Good Movie Night either.
It's
I
good
think I
enough
saw
to
it
be a good
in
movie
Medium
night.
Movie Night.
So
Do you remember
this
this?
is going to be unbearably tedious for all of you listening. Many years ago, we used to watch movies together. Some of them were good, and we called it Good Movie Night. Some of them were bad, and we called it Bad Movie Night, and it was a lot of fun.
Differing opinions on which fell into both categories. But I think we all watched this together. And I will say, to your point, I didn't remember any of it except for that first scene where Kiefer Sutherland, and the clock. That's all I really remembered. Mm-hmm. So the good news is it felt
Are you sure
like
you
the
weren't
first
watching 24?
Oh, wait. Yeah, that's what I was. I wasn't there. Never mind. No, I've seen this, I think.
Yeah.
But I didn't remember any of it.
So in your second viewing.
In my second viewing, I watched it in a 2-part series. We watched it last night. Rob kept asking if I was still awake. I said yes. I obviously
Great
wasn't.
movie to watch when you're tired.
I obviously wasn't because I said yes, and then I rewatched it today and realized I only made it like 45 minutes into the movie and fell asleep, but I did finish it today.
Awesome.
And here we are. I'm in the middle on this one, I think. I love the originality of it. I loved the twistiness of it. But it had I still have a lot of questions, and maybe if the questions are answered for me, I'll like it even more. I don't know.
Well,
What about you?
Let's try it.
Well, yeah. Carrie says originality. Tim, how original would you say this movie is? Does it draw on movies from the past?
Well, I mean, it does, obviously, and Proyas was super forthcoming with this was his Metropolis, which is a 1927 German film directed by Fritz Lang, noted primarily for the design of its title city. And I think Proyas is he knows that. He knows that he's making a neo-noir or sci-fi movie set in a version of Fritz Lang's Metropolis, not pretending that's not true. That being said, I would say it's pretty damn original. I think that it falls into the really sweet spot of coming pretty early in the CGI era. Could not have made this movie with practical effects, just flat out not a possibility. So it could only really have been made sometime in the mid-90s. And it was made in 98, so it happened pretty fast after that. So it draws on old movies. I don't think it's beholden to them, and I think it draws on them in a way that does new things with, again, Fritz Lang's Metropolis. I'd say Terry Gilliam's Brazil is really clearly in there. But he's not remaking Brazil. He's doing something new with the same design ethos.
And I had to go back because I was working at Blockbuster at the time in high school and was just consuming movies fresh off the shelf. So got a hold of this one pretty early on. But I was confused on whether, was it Matrix that came first or this, and was surprised to find that this actually came out before Matrix. And I'm wondering, if this movie doesn't exist, does Matrix exist? Yes.
This movie given the production lead times, this movie was not out when they started. The Wachowskis were not inspired by this movie. It was just weird. What's a really weird coincidence, they were actually shot at the same studio.
Oh, okay.
The Dark City shoot wrapped up and the Matrix shoot dropped into the same sets. So it's weird that it happened like that, but no, I think there's no chance that this was actually the inspiration for the Matrix. Clearly the inspiration for a lot of other things.
What's similar about this and the Matrix?
Well, where do we begin?
The presence,
the black coats.
The black coats. Well, the black coats. I mean, I don't think that's nothing because the black coats are super important.
Sure. Yeah.
The presence of a world where you are being fed lies on a constant basis, and one individual who's able to see through that, and as a result of seeing through that, basically becomes Superman, but dystopian, high tech, sad Superman.
Alrighty.
Well said.
Alrighty.
And then you have the strangers, which are the agents. If in this kind of
okay.
If we're
I think
comparing,
I need to rewatch The Matrix. I don't think I got that at the time. That was a little over my head.
And I
It was worth rewatching.
I know I said not worth good movie night. Just a clarification, there are good movie nights were typically classics. And
The
now
Notebook.
maybe
we watched The Notebook for good
did
movie
not watch
night.
them. It was
You know who would call this motion picture a classic is the late, dearly missed Roger Ebert, who thought it was the best movie of
That's
98.
right. Best
Oh,
movie
really?
98 on his greatest movies short list.
7 years later, it made his greatest movies. So he was all about this.
And I like this movie a lot. I like film noirs just in general, so that it had me at that. But then when you throw in this sci-fi element, I originally saw the theatrical cut. At the time of its release, there was no director's cut, and I didn't I was curious on the differences. I know we went in when we were discussing Alien 2 weeks back on some of the differences between a director's cut and a theatrical cut. And I thought that the director's cut was far better in this case. And
what did we watch yesterday?
We ended up buying it because it's not available any other way. We bought it on Amazon for $7.99 because it was good price.
But which one did we buy?
Price point. We bought the director's cut.
So we saw the longer, more thought out version.
It's the director's vision of how he wanted to see it kind of all the way through.
So you said the one that we saw was trickier, right?
It's trickier, yes, because my understanding, the director's cut, Tim pointed out as well too, is that it adds 10 more minutes. But really, the biggest difference for me is the opening sequence. In the theatrical release, you have Kiefer Sutherland giving exposition right out of the gate, like
about what's
explaining about the strangers, not how they came to be, because that's still a little bit that remains a mystery, but explaining a lot. Which after rewatching the director's cut, it's hard for me to pretend I don't know everything. But I think there's plenty in there that explains everything. Just you have to be patient throughout the whole movie, but everything is explained pretty thoroughly. So I don't know if you need that at the top of the movie.
I think you very much do not. And I'm going to say something, and I'm going to get some stink eye from Carrie here. I think the movie is much too clear. I agree. I think it over-explains. I think it needs to have a little bit more mystery than it does. Probably the only real problem I have with that movie. It's very eager to explain everything with the solitary exception of who these strangers actually are.
Yeah, but I think maybe that's partially too because there's so many unknowns, and you're still left with so many unknowns. Like
I don't feel like I'm left with that many unknowns.
I have some unknowns. So when I ask you my questions and you don't know the answers, you're going to realize you have some unknowns.
I'm ready.
Are you ready for my question?
I'm ready for your questions.
1, do these people have a vitamin D deficiency? So have none of these people seen the sun?
You're talking about the strangers
or
everybody?
So everybody, the humans.
Because it's a dark city.
So the city is dark,
right?
Because the strangers don't
want
like
it to be
the light.
So that people don't realize that they've never seen. So okay. So let me back up. That was actually my 4th question. So let me start from the beginning. So okay, was this like on Earth, this little clump of land that's now floating in outer space?
Well, no, it's a spaceship.
But there was a city on top of it.
It's a
spaceship city.
But these these humans have gotten there. So where have these humans been plucked from?
Earth.
Okay.
Likely Earth. Yeah, we're not sure.
You don't know.
I assume it's
so here's something I'll go to, and I know you haven't seen this movie, but there is some fan fiction out there, not fan fiction, but fan theories that this is actually knowing is a prequel to this, and that the humans were actually plucked from Earth in its destruction, and like some key.
Oh, do I need to see Knowing again? God.
It's a good theory. Like it connects a little bit, but let's just assume they were either taken from Earth for whatever reason.
Okay.
And they were
maybe
brought here
an
to
Earth colony.
study.
Maybe it was an Earth ship that was attacking the aliens.
See, that's the thing. Like, where do these people come from? I think is an open question.
They're human beings.
They're human beings. I got that part. I don't think they explain it. It doesn't. Right.
It doesn't matter. It's a curious question, but it doesn't matter.
So it mattered to me because then I also kind of wanted to know, like, do these people even know that they're there? Like, no, right?
Well, no, definitely not.
They definitely don't know that they're there.
And that's part of the Matrix comparison, is like part of what is happening to them is they are being robbed of that knowledge.
So now that at the end, when you know that these strangers are still existing, obviously, the strangers aren't all gone. Only a few of them are hurt. So, like, who's running the show?
Oh, that would be Rufus Sewell, main
Just
character.
Rufus. So Rufus is going to take down all of the aliens that are
he has no problem. He took down the main, and it's a collective. So I think they took down the queen, like the king.
I don't think it's indicated that's a particularly important stranger. I think he's just the one who was assigned to this issue.
Really? I felt like they had the stare down, and everybody else was kind of running away, and it was like between.
Well, he's not like a junior attaché.
Richard. You're talking about Mr. Hand,
right?
Oh, I'm talking about Mr. Book.
Okay,
I'm talking about Mr. Book versus
Wait, is
John
Book
Murdoch.
The old guy?
Book is the older gentleman.
Yeah.
Yes, not the one. Mr. Hand is the one who's implanted with John
Rufus.
Yes, takes on John Murdoch's intended memories.
Right.
And I know that was, I think, a point of confusion for you because you keep referring to it as like, well, so now he thinks, and it's like the memories are.
Oh, they're just getting swapped around everywhere, right?
The memories are a chemical cocktail created by Kiefer Sutherland.
Oh. So wait, so Kiefer
is the aliens Bill
Puppeteer.
Maher character. If I may speak to the.
so I like him, is what you're saying.
No. Anyway, Kiefer is the human who is agreeing to go along with the terrible things being done by the aliens in exchange for his own skin.
Right. So he's the only one that truly has a full set of memories from beginning to end.
He doesn't, because he does explain that he's been required to delete all the memories that are non-essential to his
right.
work.
That's right. He did say that. Okay.
So
okay.
it's a good segue. So the Kiefer Sutherland character, Dr. Chirby, I don't know what his name was. I should have it handy.
Yeah, you should.
Good guy, bad guy.
Good guy.
Good guy?
Good guy.
Yeah?
Guy who facilitates John Murdoch becoming Jesus.
Yeah, he does become Jesus. I don't know how I feel about him. I feel he's got to pay a little bit. Like he's got to work off some of the debt that he's
pay. He's had his identity stripped away, and he's
but
become.
So is everybody else. Like you've helped perpetuate this, and were you just kind of?
He has to live with the knowledge of it.
Oh, that's not enough. I feel like he's got to. He doesn't seem too sad about that. He's been helping out. Like he could have said no. He could have sacrificed himself.
Then he would have died, and then
he would have died, and they wouldn't have had anybody to run their experiments. End of game.
And then he would not have been able to seed the knowledge into John Murdoch that permitted Murdoch to save the day.
Perhaps. Did you get that part, Care? Did you get why that was important to have that injection?
Yes.
Okay.
You mean the one where he did the little swap out?
Yes. So much like the Matrix again. It's like the training Neo goes through where he learns everything within, an instant because of that injection. He's had 30 years of training now. But
I thought we saw that little what do you call it? Little collage of life before. So he had already had that little.
So he had his. Well, they kind of showed the memories, but now it's memories infused with training of how to use.
Oh, right. That's right.
I understand it to be that over the course of months, Kiefer has been feeding bit by bit, piece by piece, one memory at a time, so as to avoid detection, has been feeding the knowledge that Murdoch needs to overthrow the aliens. And it is only once he's reached a critical mass that Murdoch is able to sort of activate that.
Okay.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I mean, I don't know if the movie says it or if it's just how I'm interpreting it.
Okay. That would make, because he does just develop this tuning power out of nowhere.
So that's what I was just going to ask. Where does he get this power, though?
He evolves, and they kind of...
is that what you're trying to say?
And that's what I think happens, yeah.
I don't know. I feel like he has this very early on, he has this thing, he breaks the glass to get his wallet and does stuff with, he has a powerful brain early on. I didn't catch the connection with that. I thought that was just inherent in him.
Well, this is one thing that
I think it's inherent in him because Kiefer has arranged for it to be.
See, I didn't get that.
Maybe I'm reading something that's not there.
Maybe it's there. I thought he naturally evolved, and it was a surprise to Kiefer as well, because obviously he dropped the syringe when he didn't even have a chance to implant the John Murdoch.
I don't think he anticipates that Murdoch will have evolved as far as he did.
Okay, maybe. One way to know that he's in fact evolved that wasn't in the original theatrical release that I believe is a scene that's added in is the strangers examine John Murdoch's finger with a microscope and see that he has spirals, perfect spirals on his fingerprint, which was not in the original. A lot of imagery with the spirals.
Yeah, it's very, very much appreciated addition in the director's cut, because
Yeah.
it does give that imagery some.
Does that mean anything other than that's what their planet that they live
it's
on
a
is
birthmark.
the circle? Oh, okay.
I think it's it proves that Murdoch is different.
So what?
It's not a birthmark.
Going back to his powers. So when he's in the bathtub in the beginning,
yes,
and he goes to implant him, that doesn't work when he goes to try and implant him when he's in the tub.
It seems like there was a natural defense mechanism.
Yeah.
Right.
And you're saying that's built. See, that's where I got that he had some sort of natural power or some sort of built-in power from the start that made him supernatural or whatever too. I don't know.
Well, the implication, as I understand it, is that he has in the past been successfully implanted. So it has to be something that there needed to be some trigger or some critical threshold that allowed him to the perhaps latent, what's the word I'm looking for? His ability to not get affected.
Yeah.
Needed to in some way be activated.
Okay.
And I think that's what's going on. It's like we're not seeing the start of the story. There's a lot of backstory to like how does this person come to this place where he was in a position to reject the new memories.
Okay.
What about the acting? What'd you? We had Rufus Sewell as the lead character, John Murdoch, Kiefer Sutherland. We mentioned Jennifer Connelly as the wife, or is she the wife? I guess we don't. It's she's the wife in that particular sequence.
She's definitely not the wife. She's
definitely not the wife. Yes.
At this moment,
we had Richard O'Brien as Mr. Hand and Ian Richardson. What do you guys think overall about the acting of the characters? Care, I'll start with you. Who'd you like? Who'd you not like?
Okay, that's a good way to break it down. Kiefer Sutherland was on my not like list.
Oh, I guess. Yeah, I'm with.
boo.
He was like, "Hello, my name is Kiefer Sutherland."
I thought that was. I thought
he's like he's broken and creepy, and like clearly someone who has lost the thread.
Totally. It just felt too unthreaded or something.
Really?
I don't know.
You thought Kiefer was,
it was so
you thought
choppy.
Kiefer was the weak link in the movie from an acting perspective.
I mean, who really picked it up was Jennifer Connelly.
Jennifer Connelly is, I think, actually good in this. I don't like Jennifer Connelly, and I think she's really good in this movie.
See, I don't like her in some things, other than The Rocketeer. I really loved her in that, but I thought she was really good in this, and I knew she took some flack. I had read some things, and I thought she was really good.
I like William Hurt was in this as well too. I didn't mention him. I like him generally. I don't feel like he knew what he was supposed to do as much, and maybe that was part of his character.
I think that works. I think what's really cool about Dark City is that you have this highfalutin, crazy, florid, hard to parse sci-fi movie cross-cutting with this grubby LA noir about a detective who just wants to stop the serial killer. Totally has no clue that he's just a fucking dope. That what he does not matter, which is like the ultimate expression of the noir ethos of like the protagonist is a pawn who does nothing matters that he does. And so William Hurt is just trudging on, doesn't realize that he's a fucking clown.
Right.
And I think that's so interesting. And like,
he's so masculine
that comes
too.
out so
like he's this powerful masculine character. It's like you have no effect on anything, but he has no idea.
So
but
great.
you see on his face how he loses. He does a good job communicating that with his facial expressions of how like I don't know what the hell's going on. Like I have no idea either, and I'm supposed to because that's my job, but I have no idea. I actually thought the weakest link in this was the main character for me.
Rufus?
Rufus Sewell was. I just got nothing.
He's
nothing
a perfectly able. So the role is guy who doesn't have an identity or a personality, sort of muscling on his way on through, and that's he plays that fine. I think Keanu Reeves does a better job in The Matrix of playing a sort of deliberate blank slate because Keanu Reeves can't act. Rufus Sewell can't act well. Is the distinction I would draw. So Keanu is literally just like
terrible.
He's just a blank slate.
Yeah.
He's nothing.
He's trying his best.
Rufus has enough to be something, but it's not enough.
Yeah. My Kiefer was actually probably my favorite performance, but maybe tied with Richard O'Brien as Mr. Hand. So
man,
Richard O'Brien was
so
awesome.
good.
What does he look like in real life?
That.
He does.
Like that. That's why he was.
Have you guys seen Rocky Horror Picture Show?
No.
Oh my God, Carrie!
I know. I've heard it's scary.
What?
Isn't it scary?
No.
It's horrifying.
Scary's the
It's a camp musical about people singing fun bad pop and fucking.
So that makes sense. I think when I was in high school,
Whoever told you it was scary was having you on for reasons entirely of their own.
They knew I couldn't handle it. I can handle it now. Maybe.
There's nothing to handle. It's a musical comedy about the sexual revolution.
I don't know if I can handle that, Tim.
All right.
I will.
You're the mother of two children. I know you know what sex is.
And the revolution.
Did you find him? Did you like that character though, Mr. Hand? That's the one who was injected with John Murdoch's memories.
He was just super creepy.
Yeah,
super creepy.
He executed it so well.
So these are all dead people who have died, and the aliens inhabit their brains as. Right. Okay.
And it took for me the subsequent viewings to actually catch that line in there, like we take your dead as vessels. Like I didn't.
So
I don't
here's
think
my
I caught
other
it
question:
originally.
Do they? So they have they have their little ship that they're all on. Did they like wait for the people that they abducted to die and then inhabit them? Or what was the timing scenario here?
My assumption, and this is at least in part based on my affection for the Ed Wood classic Plan 9 from Outer Space, is that they just, when they took the people, they just took a bunch of dead bodies too.
Okay,
Plenty of
that's
dead bodies in
that's
the
plan
ground
B.
on
yeah.
this planet.
Yeah, and I also think that there's not enough of them to need more. Like they're a dying race, and that's the whole purpose. Is they're seeking out this person to inject their collective mind into, so that has a soul that also has these abilities. So yeah, John Murdoch ends up being this perfect candidate for that, to basically live on forever, possibly.
Why did they choose bodies all that had no hair?
Perhaps that's a side effect. I'm assuming
that is a question I cannot answer.
I knew I would have
Found
some.
an unanswerable question.
Oh, I have so many.
Because they knew that it would look cool.
It would look cool, and all pale ones. Well, that makes
Apparently,
sense.
they also have the same style sense as well, too. As like you said.
Well, because they don't have identities. They're all like basically ants.
Right.
What they actually remind me of, and this is, I don't want to go on a super long tangent, but I do want to bring this up because I'll hate myself if I don't. The British comic fantasy author Terry Pratchett, whose books are amazing. You should read them. Passed away a couple of years ago, very sadly. He, in 3 of his novels, introduced a race of trans-dimensional beings called the Auditors, who are emotionless, identityless beings who want to see the perfect harmony of like an efficient universe. And so that's kind of their thing. And I'm not going to go into the plots. The Strangers reminded me a lot of that. And they did exist in book form prior to this movie. So I don't know if there is any overlap there or not, but like a race of impersonal, emotionless beings trying to study what is this human thing called having a self and having, a sense of like, here is who I am, who's different from this person. Like here's how I feel.
Yeah.
And like knowing what the I means there. To me, that's a really cool thing to explore. And I think one of the things that caught me off guard this time, because I didn't think about the other times I've seen the movie, the Strangers are kind of tragic, interesting figures because they want to be better than they are, and they don't know what that means because they don't have a framework for it.
So they're trying to decide, let me break down one other thing. They're trying to decide whether the difference between nature versus nurture, right? Like, so if a person retains their soul but not their memories, should a soul be able to dictate that you're going to stay on the same path? Like, for example, I remove your memories that you were a murderer, and are you going to go on and continue to be a murderer because that's built into your soul and the core of who you are?
And I think it's the other way around, but yeah.
Wait, so tell me the
it's
other
like,
way.
well, they're like, if we take someone who's not a murderer and say you used to be a murderer, will that person then become a murderer?
Right.
I think, but I think you're exactly right.
Okay. So, but what's the goal there? Like, what's the plan, people? What do you want to know?
They are a 12-year-old boy pulling the legs off of an ant with tweezers.
So it's not like they're trying to get anything out of it.
Well, they're trying to figure us out.
Yeah,
they're trying to figure us out without fundamentally having the framework for asking that question.
I would like it if the movie had gone one step further and said, our goal is because we're trying to create... What?
Well, this is what's amusing.
I said.
This is what's amusing at the top of it is that Tim thought less exposition is more, which I also feel, and I know, and this is what's interesting about just different viewing experiences. You would have wanted more explanation.
No. So what I was going to say is like I would have liked if they would have tied it up to say these people that are inhabiting dead people have a goal because they are trying to get at a super soul or like
their
whatever.
goal is to not die. And they look at us as a race and they're like, okay, humans figured it out.
Yeah.
So let's just poke at humans until we see what's going on with humans.
Yeah.
But because they're so fundamentally unimaginative, all they can do is like run us through these meaningless, arbitrary experiments.
Right. I just sort of like there was more of a purpose to the ant leg pulling off,
Well, I think that's the whole thing.
Yeah.
There's no purpose because these are not.
Yeah,
they don't know what they don't know what questions. They don't know what questions to even ask.
I would have liked it more if they had a purpose.
We talked a little bit about this about you, Tim. You said a little bit of almost sympathetic characters to some degree.
To a degree.
When Rufus attains his Jesus-like stature and has full use of his powers, more so than even the collective together, he starts extinguishing them. That's a little bit sad. That was a little bit sad to me. His use of what he does with his powers once he has them. It's a little bit selfish. Not very Jesus-like, where he goes out and then builds out his shell beach or whatever it is. And
sure. He builds out that little island, the little peninsula.
Just kind of like, so he's just kind of go off and using his powers for himself to hook up with his lady.
Well, there's no indication in the movie that he has to be good.
Yeah.
You know, he's not a messiah. I mean, he's got Jesus powers, and it's easy to compare him to Jesus because we're comparing him to Neo, who is clearly based on Jesus. I don't think that's part of the story. The story is not a good man beats the aliens. The story is this guy randomly stumbles his way into beating the aliens using the end sequence from Akira.
Yeah. And it just bothered me a little bit that he's essentially exterminating this race too that was
they're
dying.
not exactly friendly people, you know?
And I think the question arises because he doesn't kill he doesn't kill them all.
Right.
I think that's pretty clear.
Just the particularly bad ones.
Like, if these are a race that are all functionally identical, if you leave one alive, you've left
preserved
the entire species alive.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they can't like recreate.
It's not clear.
It's not clear.
Second question.
Like ear to ear kind of thing. No?
What?
I don't know. Never mind.
Only in my other viewing, I caught this bit of trivia, and it didn't pick up for me, but I noticed a lot more of it when I saw it the second time after reading it. Is that this claims to be one of the shortest average shot lengths. So that's edits per or cuts per second of any modern narrative at 1.8 seconds. So every 1.8 seconds on average, there is a cut, a transition to another scene. And I noticed it a lot more when I saw it. I was like, wow, this is cutting.
I wish I'd known that. I did not notice it. There's a couple like obvious scenes where it's cut short. I would say that it doesn't strike me as being more quickly cut than any random Transformers movie.
Is that a fast pace though? 1.8 seconds, if that holds true? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know average ASLs off the top of my head, and I think it's also a very easy statistic to misuse. I feel like around the time that movie came out, a standard ASL would have been like 2.53 per second, or 3 seconds per cut.
Do you like faster cuts, Kara, or do you not, when you're watching, that's not even something that you really notice? Like,
I think it depends. I've realized the more I've watched how well it's done, because you notice the really fast cuts if it's poorly done.
Sure.
So if it's smooth, or that one that we watched one, I can't remember even the name of it, but we had to turn it off 15 minutes in. But yeah, I think if done well, I think I prefer like more of the less cuts. If
I prefer cuts of the correct length.
That's a better
whatever
answer.
that is.
Yeah, there are some, beautiful long shots where you have these long takes, and if orchestrated well,
that.
like I do like them when they're orchestrated. I guess Tim, what you're saying is correct. It's the correct
Sometimes
length.
you got yourself a William Wyler film where he lets an entire scene play out in one shot. Sometimes you got yourself Moulin Rouge where it's like 4,000 cuts every second, and I like both of them.
Both of them are good.
Let's take a look at Alex Proyas' career really quick. We mentioned a couple of his movies. Let's not. Why?
Because it's sad.
It is sad. We have he started off.
What's he done?
First feature film, I believe, was The Crow, and then from there, Tim, I don't know if you know more or less.
I don't have his career memorized.
That's all right. I know we've got iRobot in there. We mentioned Knowing, which sounds like you haven't, or you've seen, but
I've seen.
Yeah, but you kind of want to forget.
Not a fan.
And then more recently, Gods of Egypt.
I've heard that one's just not great.
Well, it's great if you want to get plowed with your friends and make fun of a bad movie.
Oh, so it's not bad.
It's actually it's a great bad movie.
Okay.
We don't get great bad movies anymore.
When you're looking, Carol, I'll ask this to you first.
That's Matt Damon, right?
No, it's
Brad Pitt.
You're
Gerard
thinking
Butler.
Yeah, Gerard Butler.
What am I thinking with Matt Damon
You're thinking
as a
Troy.
god? Oh,
That is not Matt Damon either.
No, it's not. But he's thinking Brad Pitt.
that's
yes.
Brad Pitt. That Rufus Sewell is in that movie. Oh wait,
No.
Gladiator.
He's in Gladiator, I think.
He's the guy that shivs him, and I hated Rufus. He's the one. He's the guy that when they're
I'm
in the
not sure.
ring, he does the like.
I think
He shivs. Oh, he shivs.
he's shady. In whichever ancient world film he's in, he's definitely shady.
With Russell Crowe.
That's Gladiator for sure.
Gladiator, and he shivs him, and no one knows. So he's just slowly dying, and he's fighting him like with a wound to his stomach, and so that's why I didn't like Rufus Sewell in this movie because of what he
He
did.
was in Gods of Egypt. Rufus.
He wasn't.
Rufus.
Who did he play?
He was the asshole. He plays a lot of assholes. He was also the asshole in Knight's Tale.
Oh yeah.
He just plays a lot of assholes. Maybe it's the eye care. I know you had thoughts on.
I do. So I have a question for Tim. Do you know why Rufus Sewell has a bulgy eye?
I think that is an inappropriate question to ask.
It is no.
Rufus Sewell has a mama and a papa who love him and raised him despite his bulgy
just
eye.
the way he is, Care.
So as I'm asking you this question, think about him shivving Russell Crowe in The Gladiator.
I'm sure Tim would if Rufus Sewell was in fact in that movie, but I don't see that he is. I could not place him in.
So I've hated him all this time for no
Are you thinking
reason.
of Joaquin Phoenix?
I am.
Yeah,
thinking
Joaquin
of
Phoenix. Oh,
That is a leap. That is a big old leap.
I'm so sorry, Rufus. I'm no longer going to give the reason
Apologize to
about
Joaquin.
your
He said he had a bulging eye.
never mind on Rufus Sewell. I thought that was Joaquin Phoenix. It's not. They look a lot alike, right?
They're white.
Kind of like curly hair.
Some like
dark hair.
wavy hair. Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. We were talking about Alex Proyas' career.
Sorry.
before
Why
we
were
went
we
on
talking about that?
Yeah, why bother? Kara, when we're looking at Dark City, what stands out to you from a direct, like now that you know a little bit more about direction and things
Sure.
like that too? What do you see like as being his thing? You've seen iRobot too as well. Too.
Sure.
What similarities, I guess, do you see?
I don't see
between
anything
you?
from iRobot. Do I? Should I?
Well, for me, like he's a visual director, like really good
well,
on
like
the visuals.
the sets in this too, like
And
the ability to
sets,
move and
the
change.
city, like melting and
The
reforming.
manipulation of the scenes and stuff is
like
really
the
cool.
dark, the just wonderful use of dark.
How do you use that much dark? I mean,
You
it's
use it
like
real well.
Yeah.
Dariusz Wolski shot that film. Super talented cinematographer. Just great shadows.
you almost have to make the people dead because they were so pale, so white, like they had to be stark.
Oh, that's what makes them
to
such
compare-
good,
yeah.
like, creepy bad guy.
so
spooky
creepy.
going.
Yeah.
So I think for me, he's known like for the visuals, and even as bad as Gods of Egypt is, it was like it looked cool.
I'll spot
like,
you that iRobot has an
Yeah.
interestingly designed universe. I don't think I can spot you that for Gods.
No,
of Egypt.
I struggled to find anything
It made
nice to say
the
about
Egyptian
Gods of
gods
Egypt.
turn into like chrome animals.
Yeah. So how do you? What went wrong? Because he started off really strong with the Crow. Have you seen the Crow, Care?
No.
Okay. He started off really strong with Crow. The follow-up, iRobot,
Did he
Dark
make
City.
nothing between Dark City and iRobot?
I didn't see any major.
Maybe that's the problem. Maybe he was trying so hard to get projects off the ground that he finally was able to just get iRobot.
And
made.
Dark City didn't make a ton either. And must have
no,
made a lot in
it did
rentals,
not.
like maybe
No.
on the rental side, but
No,
not.
pretty much Dark City had nothing in its camp other than Roger Ebert begging people to go see it.
Yeah. Has Alex Proyas for you then, Tim, lost?
I said this at the time I reviewed Gods of Egypt when it was brand new. I was going to give Alex Proyas every pass he needed. Don't care that iRobot's shitty. Don't care that Knowing's shitty. I was going to be like, you made Dark City. I will follow you to the ends of the earth. Gods of Egypt broke
Couldn't
me.
do it.
It's just that bad. I was really, really bummed.
Maybe he has.
Now that I've rewatched Dark City, I'm going to be kind of rejuvenated for my Alex Proyas.
the hard part for him, I don't want to compare him to M. Night Shyamalan, who had kind of a little bit of a rebirth now.
Dark City is a masterpiece in ways that M. Night Shyamalan cannot even daydream about producing.
But the fact that M. Night Shyamalan doesn't rely as much on I feel like you can't give Alex a small budget and
Dark City was made on the cheap.
It was 27 million in 1998.
I mean, that's not like it's
not-
it's
But
not
you
pocket
can't
change.
you can't give him $5 million like for The Visit or
No,
$1 million bucks.
He would not be able to make a
can't
The
make
Visit, no.
yeah. And I wonder how you jumpstart your career again. You know what I mean? Like how do you go from Gods of Egypt? And I haven't checked his filmography to see if he has anything coming up. I just don't know where you can go to try again with this.
I don't know. He seems like the kind of person who could probably be like reasonably successful if Warner's grabbed him to do a DC movie, but I think that won't happen.
Here's my question to both of you guys. So this being not your first viewing of this, how did it hold up from like your first?
Damn good.
Still good.
Still good?
Still very good. Even the CGI is. I was okay.
It ain't
with
my
that. It's
second
great.
viewing either.
Yeah,
Let me put it that way.
yeah. I like watching this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I know neither of you have seen this, but recommend for folks who have to comment as well too. Is a year later, Matrix came out, but also a movie called The 13th Floor. Very similar to The Matrix, very similar to Dark City, more of this small budget, overlooked. Would be interested to hear what audience members thought of it. And if you guys ever get a chance, I'd welcome the compare and contrast on The 13th Floor. Very similar movies. Anything else?
Well, I'd be curious, just to know everyone's star ratings on this one, if anyone's willing to commit to that. I would certainly say this is a good old 4.5 for me.
Whoa.
And the 5 is probably a recasting of Rufus Sewell away.
Who would you put in him to make it a 5?
Well, I'm not a casting director.
But if you were going to guess.
I would say in 1998, I would like to see... Oh, golly. I don't know. Someone who's slightly better at emoting than Rufus.
Would you put Keanu Reeves in it?
Well, no, because Keanu Reeves was in The Matrix.
I know, but if The Matrix wasn't made.
I wouldn't have thought of that except for The Matrix.
Right.
Come back to me.
Okay, I'll come back to you. What about you?
I probably, just because I think I put Matrix at 4.5 there.
Well,
maybe
to me, it's a better film than The Matrix.
Really, Dark City
100%. No question about it.
It's not for me. So I have to put it at a 4. I think is where I would land with it too. And its shortcomings are the Rufus Sewell, the over-explanation, and while I still love the visuals, like it's not something that'll stand as much maybe the test of time. Like I still like the building moving.
It is a 19-year-old movie, man.
I know the tuning.
It looks very nice.
The tuning is a little outdated. Yeah, I know. The buildings still look
by
great.
1998 standards, have you seen some other 1998
No,
movies?
I know. I gotta forgive it. But 4.0 is kind of where 4.
I was going to give it a 2.5. But now that I know that Rufus Sewell did not kill Russell Crowe in The Gladiator, it's a 3.
All right. Sounds good.
Now have you rethought about your recasting in that last 12 seconds?
I have not, although since Russell Crowe's name was just spoken, I legit think Russell Crowe.
He could do. He could have done it.
Yeah.
He could have done it. Year after LA Confidential, so I think he would have even fit into the concept of film noir.
Yeah, I can see that too.
Actually, for that matter, Guy Pearce.
Also,
who was even in Australia. He's an Australian. The movie was shot in Australia.
Who's the guy from Memento?
Guy Pearce.
I think it should be Guy Pearce.
There you go,
then.
Guy Pearce.
Guy Pearce.
Go back in time, tell Alex Proyas.
5.0, Guy Pearce.
Absolutely.
Well, every episode we randomly select one member of audience who shared their feedback. Our lucky winner this episode was Rocky, who chimed in on our website.
The boxer?
Yeah, they're boxer.
We're making
AKA
it.
Sylvester
We're making it
Stallone.
big.
Yes, it's going out there. No, this is Rocky from our site. That's all he's known as. He wrote in, "What a pretty but horribly written and acted film." Yeah, can't disagree too much.
I do disagree.
On the written part?
I disagree on the written part.
Yeah. And then the acting.
I really like this movie a lot.
There was a lot of acting that was good in there too. But Rocky, appreciate it. Shoot us an email at contact@alternateending.com for details on how to claim your free movie rental. If you want to win a free movie like Rocky, be on the lookout for our spoiler alert or top 5 movie posts on Facebook and Twitter. Share your favorite picks. In closing, thanks to everybody for listening. Go out to social media, check us out. We're on Facebook. Go out there, like it to follow us there. Twitter, we're actively tweeting out when we have new reviews and new content. Alternating.com, where you find all of our information, and subscribe to our podcast on iTunes or Google. Tune in for our next show, where I actually don't know what we'll be doing. What we're doing.
What are we doing?
We're doing a top 5.
It's a top 5 What's coming out next week?
This is your job.
I know.
You have a job.
I failed this mission.
You have a few jobs.
You'll have to go to the website.
Check our website on Tuesday for a
www.alternateending.com.
There's a poster coming. We'll figure it out.
We have a top 5. It's going to be a good top 5. You're going to love it. You're going to be like, ooh, I have thoughts on that top 5.
Top 5s.
So check us out on Tuesday.